Hello and welcome back to the Becoming Relentless podcast. I am your host, Noa McCabe. I'm a Team Mahaley coach, opposing coach, a bikini pro, and I'm joined by the lovely
Danielle Kusenberger, also Team Mahaley coach and opposing coach and athlete, almost pro.
Soon to be.
Soon to be.
All right. So today we're going to talk to everybody about things that we used to believe. So when we were getting into fitness, when we were getting into competing, there's a lot of fitness myths that we believed that we did. But instead of doing like myth busting, we thought that we would talk about things that we used to do, that we used to believe, and why that is no longer the case.
Well, along with the growth, it's also experience and education evolvement, I guess you could say. There's a lot. I think the most basic one that we ever talked about earlier was sore training.
Yeah.
Because everyone sees this online, but I still have athletes, competitor athletes who text me in WhatsApp. They're like, I'm not sore, so something's wrong.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong, dude. And if, first of all, if you aren't, if that was the case, you just got to train harder. So basically it's on you, you know?
Yeah. I think people equate the soreness to like having a good workout.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to do it too. Like I used to be like, oh, why am I not sore after leg day? It's probably because I wasn't going hard enough. I wasn't actually forcing the muscle to adapt to anything.
Mm-hmm.
I was just doing like the same thing over and over again.
And that's something that I used to do too. I used to do 4 sets, 12 to 15 reps of everything. Squats, RDLs, hip thrusts. Every single day. The 4 sets had to be, it was so annoying. Like looking back, I'm like, dude, what? You're wasting so much energy on absolutely no progress. But at the time, it was so ingrained in my head that I had to do that. Like that is what I had to do no matter what. And I couldn't leave. When in reality, that's just not how you make progress. That's not how you challenge the muscle. And I still have it's the same athlete that texted me that she wasn't sore. She was worried. Also wasn't following my training plan, and she was doing the 3 sets of 12 15 reps for every exercise, doing things like reverse hack squats, like things that aren't
that you didn't program.
Yeah, things that I would not protocol or program because, for one, there's just so many other movements you can do to target the muscle for growth in a more compound way versus that. But
that's another thing that I think people believe that kind of goes in the same vein is they want variation in their workouts. Like every week they want a different workout. And I used to think the same thing that, oh, I need to switch up my squats every other week. Mm-hmm. And that's not true. If you're in a growth phase, if you're a newer competitor, a newer athlete, or maybe you've been competing for a while, but your feedback is always more muscle, more development, more growth, then you need to stick with the basics, like actual squats, not reverse hack squats or whatever, reverse banded good morning hack squat things.
Pulses.
Right. The foundation of muscle that you're looking to build is going to come from training hard and training with the basics, which is squats, your deadlifts, your RDLs, your hip thrusts, the big compound movements. There are some accessory movements for sure that you can incorporate, but the ones that I feel like I'm doing now, it's because I'm so advanced. I'm only trying to grow my glutes, so that's why I'm doing cable kickbacks. I didn't do cable kickbacks when I first started because I was trying to grow all of my muscle. I wasn't just targeting one area. I'm trying to put muscle on everywhere, and the best way to do that is with the bigger movements. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree. And the number one thing too is strength. We weren't doing certain exercises when we first started because we didn't have the strength component. One thing about density within a muscle, if from 99.9% of people, if a muscle size is bigger, they're usually stronger. Mm-hmm. That's not always the case, but I'm just if you take a physical muscle, there's more of it, there's more mass, there's more strength most of the time. So same with compounds. If you see an athlete, for example, wellness competitors, usually there's more muscle on their lower body, therefore they can lift more, compound-wise, squat more than a bikini competitor. Not always, but most of the time.
Right.
Shelby, I don't know how to say your last name.
Talon.
Well, Cheek. about to be cheek. She always thinking she the squat way more than me, but like muscle size is way different. So that's just an example. She's the first one that popped up in my head.
The first wellness, yeah.
IG. But it's just the same thing. If you are young or not as advanced into fitness, well, compounds are going to be your way to go, so you can grow that density.
I think people get that confused, like the exercises that they need to be doing, and then what they should be feeling. Yeah, because then you're chasing soreness when soreness isn't even really a good indicator of how your workout went. Like,
I agree.
I could be really sore and not actually have trained that hard, and vice versa. So
I agree, and it's also the standpoint of another thing along with soreness is people think they need to confuse the muscle in order for it to grow. You confuse the muscle by putting more intent into your reps and training harder, not by changing up the exercise.
Yeah.
That you've been doing for 2 weeks.
It's progressive overload. Yeah. So you don't want to confuse the muscle. You want to continuously challenge it.
Apply more intent into it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But what's funny is like we used to do the exact same things. Like I feel like when I first started getting into working out and training, like I did want to be sore because I was like, ooh, that means I had a good workout. And when I wasn't sore, I was like, oh, I thought it was good, but maybe it wasn't.
You know what's funny? So I had an athlete text me. She applied. She didn't text me. She emailed, whatever. She said that she didn't want to be sore because that was not going to motivate her. You know, it's the opposite of like everyone. It was so random.
That's so interesting.
I know. And that's when I was like, hey, you're not the level of athlete that I'm looking for.
The mentality is so interesting. Like, what do you mean?
You're applying with me. So that's kind of an insult too. Because like, yeah, I'm going to change your physique no matter what you want. But like, dude, come on. Like I'm a competitor who likes to win, who trains people to do well and challenge.
And like, if you want to change your body and what you've been doing yourself isn't working and you're trying to hire a coach, why would you then limit?
I agree. And a lot of people have an ego with it. Like they don't apply because they have it all on their own. I get it. You can achieve your goals in 3 years, but I can help you achieve your goals in 3 months. So it's like, come on, put your ego aside. Like, yeah, you can do it. But you know, if you have someone showing you the way, they can help you achieve it way faster. It's just like, it makes no sense. Round 2.
Yeah. What are some other things that we used to believe?
You brought this up to me earlier, making up sleep.
Oh, yeah. Trying to make up sleep debt. So like.
Sleep debt. I like it.
Sleep debt. When I was in college, that's when I started getting into the gym, but I wasn't like 100% ingrained into the lifestyle yet. So I'd go out with my friends. Like we'd go out drinking super late at night. I'd get home at like 2 a.m. and then I'd be up at like 6 a.m. and I would go like work out.
That's 4 hours, bro.
Yeah, literally off 4 hours of sleep. But then like what I would do is I'd be like, oh, because if we went out Friday night, then like Saturday I'd wake up, go get my workout done, come home, shower, and then go back to bed. And I would then sleep for like 10 hours. And in my head, I was like, well, I'm making up for the sleep that I just lost. When in reality, I was probably digging myself into a recovery hole because I didn't sleep. And then I went and worked out. And then now I'm sleeping during the day. So I'm messing up my cortisol patterning. Like I'm messing up my circadian rhythm. And then I'd be so confused. Like Sunday and Monday, I'd be exhausted. And I'd be like, well, that's weird. I slept 10 hours yesterday.
It's common sense though, because people are like, well, people listening to this would be like, wow, that's crazy. Like, yeah, of course you dug yourself into a hole, but they don't realize they're doing the same thing with their work, with their traveling, with the small things day to day. Like you're doing the exact same thing even if you don't party necessarily.
Right.
It's funny now that we're advanced, you're going to agree with this. Like last night I was walking and I wasn't walking late. It was like 8:30. The sun doesn't go down till like what, 8, 9?
Yeah, like 9.
So it's kind of like annoying in a way.
Yeah.
And I woke up today and I was like, I wonder why I'm a little bit more sore and tired. It's probably because I walked later than usual, but it's like you still got your sleep in. And it's just funny because looking back, like I would stay up till like 2 like you and wonder why I'm so tired.
Yeah.
And it's like common sense.
Well, and I think sometimes we don't realize because even if I wasn't partying, like sometimes it would just be staying up late, scrolling. Or watching TV, you know? And like that's something that a lot of people do. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it does start to impact like if you're an athlete, like you can't be doing that because it will impact your performance. It will impact your hunger signaling. It's going to impact your cortisol. Like, and that just has so many big downstream effects that like, if you're a competitor or if you're even just like trying to stay healthy, like get into the fitness lifestyle.
I agree.
That's, to me, staying up late and like not getting enough sleep is such a detriment.
I would say if someone came to me for advice right now and they're like, give me two things to focus on, I would say focus on your sleep and remove your head from your stress, especially as an athlete. If you can do those two things, just focus on your sleep and move your head from being stressed, you're going to watch your progress unfold very easily and just at a way higher point. Because if your sleep is on point, you are by definition, I believe, making sure your routine's on point as well because they work together.
It all,
and therefore your stress is lower. But I have some athletes who naturally, I'm not going to say they're addicted to stress, but they like to pick out stress. So work's stressful. Well, now it's stressful that I have all these protocols to hit, but I'm in prep, so I am determined to win, but I'm stressed because I want to win. Well, you're stressing yourself out because you're choosing to be stressed about all these things. You don't have to, your protocols do not have to be stressful. If you just remove your head from it and you just think, okay, I'm going to the gym. Okay, I'm going to eat this meal this time. If you focus on how hungry you are or eating this meal at this time and then being hungry or things being, like you're just too focused on things, the minimal things that don't matter, then you're applying too much stress into yourself, so you're going to hold yourself back.
Yeah, I think that it's easy for, I know what I used to do and like what I used to believe is that like my first few preps, I thought everything had to be perfect. And so that would stress me out instead of just viewing it, like you're saying, as a non-negotiable and knowing that, hey, cardio, diet, training, those things are going to happen because I'm going to make them happen because I'm going to prioritize them in my day. Instead of stressing about it being like perfect timing, it would just be like, no, those things are going to get done. And like my life stuff is also going to get done. It just comes down to like time management, priorities, and like you're saying, not letting that stress you out, because the more that you think about it and stress out about like, oh my gosh, like I have to do this at this time so I can do this at this time and this and this. Like, what if your car has a flat tire? It's just going to, your whole like planned day is derailed. But if you're somebody who's like able to pivot and almost go with the flow in this way of like, oh, okay, I have a flat tire. Well, let me get some work done, or let me like pace and get some steps in while the tow truck comes. Something like that. Like you're able to kind of adjust. I think that that's something that I've had to learn. And a lot of, I think my athletes are going through that right now, like where they have a job, they're going to school, they have kids, they have relationships, and they allow all of those external things to start affecting the way that they move through their fitness, and like they let their fitness fall off track. But it's like,
yes, I agree. And I will say too, I think some athletes want that because they want to feel sorry for themselves and they want to give themselves an excuse to feel tired, so they aren't mentally allowing themselves to give 100%. But their excuse is, well, I have all this stuff going on, so I'm going to feel sorry for myself, even if they don't say it. But by you saying, I have this, I'm going through a breakup. So now my protocols are off because I'm going through a breakup, because I'm sad, so I'm not hungry, so I'm not going to eat. I'm also not going to go train because I'm sad, because this ruined my life right now. I have some athletes like right now, like
where that's the mindset, right?
And I understand breakups are freaking hard, bro. I get it. Like they tear you apart mentally and they take so much from you. So I'm not saying if you're not mentally in a place to go train, don't go train. I am saying at the end of the day, your body, your choices. You get to choose what stressors affect what you choose within your protocols and what you choose to get done and how you choose to treat yourself and how you choose to feed yourself. So I truly believe you may not be hungry. And it's okay. So say in the 7-week span, have 3 days where you just let yourself dig yourself in a hole. Be sorry for yourself, cry, don't go train, sit in bed all day, watch movies, eat whatever you want. 4 of those days, show up for yourself. 4 of those days, make an effort to go to the gym, to follow your protocols, to feed your body what you know your body wants and needs, and to be in control of your own mindset. And if you can compile those wins week to week and make sure like those 4 days turn to 5, turn to 6, turn to 7, now you're becoming more resilient towards all these external stressors that you allow that to affect you.
Yeah, I agree. I think instead of allowing them to like drag you down or hold you back. Like you're saying, learn to rise to the challenges and help yourself get stronger. Like life is always going to happen. These things always happen. Like not breakups. I mean, hopefully not everyone's getting like broken up with all the time, but like there's always going to be a stress. You know what I mean? There's always going to be always. So you can turn it into an excuse, or you can just learn to get more resilient.
Yes, I agree. So I had 2 breakups in the same week with 2 different athletes, and I was like, "Oh, geez, like what's
in the air."
Yeah, I was so scared. It was funny, but well, it wasn't funny. It was just like weird timing because I never hear like breakups much within my athletes except for this past week. But it is choosing what to allow to mentally affect you. And sometimes, like we all choose to feel sorry for ourselves at times, and that's totally okay. 'Cause it's human nature to feel selfish, and feeling sorry for yourself is feeling selfish. Snacking versus real meals. I brought this up to you earlier.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, this is going into year before my eating disorder. So sophomore year is my party year, high school. Woo! And how I would eat throughout the day is I'd go home. Well, I'd wake up. I'd pack snacks in my backpack. So I'd have like those, you know, those 100-calorie nuts in a bag.
Packs, yeah.
I'd have like 3 of those, like 3 granola bars, and maybe like some Nature Valley, like granola, like just different snacks. And I would never eat a meal throughout the day. It would just be snacks throughout the day. Then I'd go home and I'd have a bowl of cereal. Mind you, this bowl is fucking massive because no one has 1 serving of cereal ever. You're not just going to say, all right, let me have this much cereal.
Yeah.
You're going to fill up that thing, right?
Yeah.
And then I would have dinner. That's my real meal of the day. Dinner was my only meal.
Did you make it yourself
dessert.
or did your family make it?
My family.
Yeah.
So snacking.
That's how my family was.
Cereal, dinner. Yeah. And this was how I fueled my body every day. And then I got to the point where I was like, man, I just look skinny fat. But I didn't change any habits. I just maybe had a little bit less dinner. Or I still snacked throughout the day. I didn't do anything different,
Yeah.
So
was that because you thought like the snacks, little bits of food was better than having meals?
Yeah. It was 2 things. I taught my eating habits to be snack focused. So I was hungry at these points throughout the day, hungry because my mind only knew when to eat was a lot of times throughout the day in small meals. It didn't know that like the portion sizes in terms of feeding your body nutritious food with actual meals. So for example, if you're in a prep phase and you eat 6 meals a day, coming out of that prep phase, you're going to mentally be hungry at those times for those 6 meals. If you eat 4 meals a day in a prep, coming out of that prep phase, you're going to be mentally hungry those 4 times because you teach your body when to eat, right? So I taught my body to constantly be snacking all day. So I constantly was mentally hungry for snacks. That is the worst way to fuel your body. And not only is it the worst way to fuel your body, it's also super harmful for your digestion to constantly going and not ever have a time to rest.
Yeah. That's super common with my athletes right now. Like, same with you. I didn't really have that at all. And then all of a sudden, there's like 3 athletes in the span of like 2 weeks where they were like, hey, with my work schedule and like with travel, I'm not able to get the meals in. Do you mind if I have snacks? And I was like, no, we can't be snacking. I was like, sorry, no. If you want, we can take a look at your meal plan. We can take a meal that's like hard to travel with and turn it into a snacks-based meal, if that makes sense. So like instead of, I don't know, 2 eggs and chicken and blueberries, okay, we can have rice cakes because those travel well. You can have a protein shake because that travels well. And like nut butter on the rice cakes because that travels well and it's easy. And they're snacky. Like it's a snack, but it's still a meal. Does that make sense? So it's like they're not going to eat the rice cakes and then eat the nut butter and then later have the protein shake. Like I'm asking you eat it all at once, like together as the meal, but they're made up of snacks.
So that's something else. I agree. So during this phase, so sophomore year, I was in snacking. Then I went to the next year and that's when my eating disorder started. I would have meals and I would eat different sources throughout the day. So I'd have a meal like that. in one class I'd have rice cakes. The next class I would just have the almond butter. And the next class I'd have a protein shake. So I'd lengthen my meals to be snacks throughout the day, which is all like, what are you doing? You're
Like
doing the same exact thing.
Every hour or however long class. I don't even remember how long classes are.
at
Every
that
hour, 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, let's just say every hour you're hitting your digestive system with something. It's filling your stomach
definitely.
again. Yeah.
The problem with that is, especially with someone with digestive issues already, which you definitely will get with an eating disorder, you teach your mind to you're not breaking any mental habits of teaching your mind when to, like, how to really feel your body. So it's people or athletes who come to me with the same issue. I first of all assess, like, what is your job? Like, are you saying this because, for one, you really cannot eat a meal, or are you saying this because you mentally want to snack all day? And if it's mentally snacking all day, well, that's just holding your progress back.
Yeah. Well, I think half the time it's like, if it is a job, like nurses, I have a couple nurses or like overnight shift workers. I get it. Like, you're on your feet. You might literally not be able to sit down and eat a meal. So in that case, we can pivot. But for most others, like two of the three athletes, they just worked from home.
Yeah.
And so I was like, let's talk about your relationship with food, your mindset around it, like your previous habits, you know, because the meals that I give them should be satisfying. You should be taking breaks between eating. So I'm like, why are we wanting to snack
Boredom.
here? Yeah.
I would say too, along with that, a lot of athletes don't think their relationship with food is bad because they don't view food in a poor way. They don't see anything as good or bad. But the fact that they snack out of boredom is a poor relationship with food, because boredom, depression, sadness, anxiety, all of those things, if your coping mechanism is to eat, that's not a healthy relationship with food. I had those as well, all of them. All four.
I have as well. And I will still struggle with it sometimes.
For sure. In an off-season phase, for sure.
Yeah.
It also, I know for a fact this coming off season is going to be vastly different than every past year. Dude, you know what's a little off topic? I went into this past off season and I was like, man, I'm in the best mental place of food I've ever been at. And I ended it with the worst mental place I've ever been at. I'm not kidding. I went into I got August through December, I was intuitive eating. I didn't start off great, but I ended great. So that was a great learning experience. January through April was horrible, but it wasn't anything with the food. It was all because my anxiety was high. I was sad. I was all of those. So if your mental health is off, obviously food being coping mechanism wasn't the best for me.
I think that's really common though.
Yeah.
Like, you're definitely not alone there.
Yeah.
I think I have athletes who they are aware of that. Like they'll, which I love, I so appreciate it, but they'll bring it up to me. They'll be like, hey, like my anxiety's really high and I find myself thinking about food and like wanting to overindulge and wanting to keep eating. And like, they'll even tell me like, yeah, I emotionally just like ate off plan. And like, they'll identify it, which is cool. Cause I think awareness, like having self-awareness around that is literally like the first step. That's the key.
That's for
if
sure.
if you don't have awareness around it, then how can you change that habit that you've ingrained?
I agree.
So just like, I think you've realized it too. Like, you're like, damn, like when my mental health starts to slip, I start to see these habits, and it can be like a flag for you to be like, oh, why am I feeling or thinking this way or behaving this way? Oh, because of this. And then you can change.
No, self-awareness is the biggest. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely agree that snacking versus real meals is something most athletes aren't aware of because it's not really talked about, because it's not really the biggest red flag, but it is a minor red flag that definitely affects you still. Along with that is wiggle room within your tracking, and what we mean by this.
Oh, yes.
Yes, so I have athletes in the past. Every coach will experience this throughout their, like, there will always be an athlete of mine on my roster that will do this, that will have a set day of macros or a meal plan, but knows that, so say they go to work and they have a Kit Kat, either they have that Kit Kat in their meal plan, so they take out some food, Or B, they have the Kit Kat and they think, oh, it was only one Kit Kat, or it was only one bite of the brownie, or it was only half of the cookie. So that's okay. I'm going to hit everything else still. And the little wiggle room of snacking throughout the day of things that aren't on your meal plan or don't fit in your macros or just aren't pushing your progress, that's why you look the same. Because I have some athletes who have struggled with eating on plan because they snack throughout the day. So I give them a free meal once a week to allow them to have some mental flexibility or an intuitive eating day, depending on the person. But if you're hitting a meal plan or macros along with having snacks throughout the day that are so minor, like bites of things, that's still affecting your progress so much. Like we can see it in your physique.
If things are not changing week to week, it's probably because of those little snacks, those little bites, the wiggle room. And that also to me is like another red flag of your relationship with food. Because if you're, so let's take like the first scenario. To me, that's a slippery slope. Like if you're exchanging things, but you're not actually tracking it. So let's say you go to work, you have that Kit Kat, and then your last meal of the day is supposed to have rice, but you're like, well, I had that Kit Kat, so I'm just not going to have the rice. It's not the same.
It's not. First of all, rice is a carb. Kit Kats are fats and carbs. Second of all, where's the fuel, dude?
And the nutrition aspect of it, like the Kit Kat isn't fueling you the way that rice is going to fuel you. And if you're doing that with like something as simple as a Kit Kat, I guarantee the further along we get in our journey and the less progress that you see, the more you're going to do this where you like exchange things, and it is going to add up. Like it's going to slow your progress down big time.
Mm-hmm. I will say too, no offense to anyone listening to this, but as a coach, and Noah will agree, and I've been taught this through Justin, any athlete that comes to you and just cheating on their diet, say they come to you and they say, look, I messed up Thursday, I cheated on my diet. You say, what did they eat? You ask them what they ate. And they say, I had one cookie, I had a slice of pizza, and 3 breadsticks. What they really had is 5 breadsticks, 2 slices of pizza, cookie, and probably a brownie. So I'm not saying that they had that much more. Most of the time, they actually ate more than what they're telling you. And they feel guilty about it, which is not anything that's like scolding anyone. Like I've been there, like, you know, especially with Justin being my whatever, you know, most of the time people cheat by eating more than what they actually say. So us as coaches, protocol based off knowing that. So you make sure that y'all make progress no matter what.
Right. So exactly. So when we give you a protocol, especially if we're just starting out, normally it's a guess. And I say that in my email, it's a starting plan. And if you can adhere to everything 100%, these protocols will change. As we progress, they will change. It's not going to be this for the next 8 weeks. But when I do design programs, I keep in mind, people are human. They might make mistakes. And so all of that goes into accounting. But if someone comes to me and is like, yeah, I really messed up, my first thought is not to scold or shame or guilt them. I try to get to the bottom of it. Is this something intentional? Was it something that felt out of control? Where was your mindset at? And then we go from there. But I'm not really going to be the person who's okay, we're now going to do an hour of cardio a day. You're going to work it off.
That's the worst thing you can do, especially if there's any coaches listening to this and your athlete cheats on their diet. The worst thing you can do is scold them and give them more cardio.
Yeah.
First of all, address the issue, which is the poor relationship with foods, which there's different ways to do this, but I definitely add in free meals or intuitive eating days because this is based off my past experience. When I came out of my last prep, my relationship with food is so bad that I did not want to track a single gram. It wasn't that I couldn't adhere to the meal plan. Well, I was choosing not to. Being self-aware to say I'm choosing not to do this. But it was because I was so mentally controlled on the numbers. Mm-hmm. And so I just went into intuitive eating and said, whatever, I'm not going to look at any numbers. Knowing that I'm still going to fuel my body with good foods that are going to fuel me. But it was also my surroundings at the same time weren't the most suited for my mental health.
But even just knowing that I think is super important. And I think that kind of builds on to like the other one that we wanted to talk about too with food volume, like how people are eating to fill their macros, I guess, or their meal plan.
So I saw this earlier today. It popped up on my Instagram, and it was protein fluff, and I was like, "Wow, another one." It was on my Explore page because I like don't follow any of those pages anymore, and I was watching the reel. You know when it's on your square, like you don't click on it, but it plays anyways. And I was watching it, and it said protein fluff. I promise you're going to be too full to finish this. And right when I saw that, I thought about my old self. Because for two things, I would make things like this that were way voluminous, be so full when I got halfway through and force myself to finish it because I wanted to. Because I wanted the temporary reward of ice cream or goodies or anything like that while feeling so stuffed, which commonly athletes coming out of prep want to feel this too because it's hard to feel full coming out of prep. Like you just, your body doesn't know how to feel that. But this is the worst thing you can do for your digestion. I truly believe. First of all, it's like packed with things like, what do you call that? Jello, sugar-free Jello, like artificials.
Xanthan gum, artificials.
Yeah, which will literally back you up or make you like constantly go. Secondly, personally, if you're not in a prep, if you want ice cream, like have a scoop. Don't make protein fluff. Like have the scoop of ice cream. I get it. It's 10 fat over what you're doing. It's 50 carb and you have 20 carb left. First of all, talk to your coach too about this struggle you're having. But I'd rather an athlete go over the macros having real ice cream than filling it with protein fluff if they know it's going to fuck up their digestion. Now, if you have protein fluff like once a week or like a voluminous thing like once a week, you know your body's fine. You want to hit your macros. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But if you're having it every day or 5 times a week, it is harming your progress. We can see it in your stomach. You can view it in your abdominals. You can wake up with so much water weight like staying on your body, and your guts microbiome is decreasing. And health wise, along with this, have the real stuff.
Yeah, I think it's kind of what we were talking about earlier with like people wanting to feel full, and it's almost like the snacking thing. Like they just constantly want to feel something in their stomach. They're not used to feeling any sort of hunger. Like most people are not used to feeling that empty, hungry feeling because they snack throughout the day or because they eat super voluminous foods. And when you're continuously doing that over time, you're just bogging down your digestion. And if your digestion is messed up, you're not going to see any physique progress at all. Like point blank period, that's it. So I used to do it for sure. When I was a new competitor, I used to have protein fluff. And even 2 seasons ago, what I used to do is I bought xanthan gum from like Sprouts, and I would get a blender. I'd get like a cup of ice, put a scoop of protein powder, xanthan gum, and like water, and blend it up, or coffee because I had low energy. So bad. It would be like 4 p.m. I'd be like full cup of coffee, and like the xanthan gum makes it really thick, really big and fluffy. And literally, I would just like chug it, and my stomach would be out to here, just so big. And then the next day, I'd be like, oh man, like I don't look as lean. Well, duh, because I'm chugging a blender full of like all this crap. But back then, I just wanted to feel full. I didn't realize that feeling empty, having that hunger is a good thing.
Yes, I want to add to this. So I have a story, just like yours kind of. I don't know if y'all know what Delights is, but Delights is here in Austin.
Yes.
And they have one in Florida, I think. Very, very, like literally, honestly, probably, I think it tastes better than frozen yogurt, like real frozen yogurt. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. That thing, whatever they do to it, like I promise you, it's that good. But it's also that bad for your stomach.
So what is Delights?
Delights is it's healthy ice cream per se. It's more like a frozen yogurt type texture, very very creamy. Not like scoops of ice cream. They do it like
soft serve.
Yeah, like a soft serve. It's very tasty. Also will mess you up. So every single person I've talked to who has gotten it, like poops their pants afterwards, like not literally, but like literally like has like digestive issues like diarrhea. my failed prep was having that 3 times a week.
Oof.
Yeah. And we weren't making any progress. Justin just thought I looked small all the time. And I agree. Like, my physique did not look like a pro physique. It didn't even look like a physique I wanted to say it was mine. I was not proud of it, anything like that. I know one of the biggest reasons as to why I looked the way I did was because of the delights that I was having. So I don't go to delights at all for this reason. It's not that having it 1 time a week would be totally okay. It's the fact that mentally I allowed myself to go so often knowing my physique was decreasing in progress, and I still allowed it to happen, that I just won't let myself go in a prep setting.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to remember the fact that I let myself fail. But the point of the story is this, like, it does catch up to you.
Yeah.
Like, all the macro friendly stuff, like, does catch up to you. And I do think it's great to have in moderation. I do think having, like, real food that's macro friendly, like macro friendly chicken sandwiches based off, like, you can make that at home versus Chick-fil-A kind of thing is totally okay. But having things like protein fluff with a lot of xanthan gum all the freaking time, like, it will decrease your progress, especially in a prep setting. Why are you drinking that? You're in prep to win. You're supposed to be hungry. And allow yourself to be hungry.
Right. I agree. Like, I also think that if you can reverse the mindset, instead of eating like 200 grams of lettuce, because I used to do that too. Like, I would literally have like a big bowl of lettuce and mustard, which sounds ridiculous, but like on prep,
honestly, on prep,
you
that's
do what you
good.
gotta do. You know what I mean? But like, I would eat that, and like my stomach would just be bloated, and like my waist, I'm lucky genetically I have a smaller waist, but it could be better. Like, it could be smaller. And ever since I realized, okay, I need to stop with the volume, like, instead of doing like big giant bowls of zucchini oats or like big bowls of salad and protein fluff and all of the stuff that people do, like little tricks to like stay full, just embrace the empty feeling. Your waistline looks so much better. And that's part of competing. Mm-hmm. Like, we're doing it for aesthetics. You want a small waistline. Mm-hmm. You can tell when a competitor's on stage and they've maybe had like a lot of protein fluff in their prep. Yeah. You can literally see it in their waistline.
Yeah. And I see it all the time. So one of the first things, like, I'm gonna be honest, one of the first things I do when I see people post pictures from their like show day, like, not on stage, on stage or just regular pictures outside. Like, I'm competing.
Like check-ins.
First thing I do is looking at their stomach to see, you can see what kind of food they ate throughout their prep, just based off like the abdominals. And it's super cool because it's not like good for them, but like there's a few in my head right now that I could say, which I'm not going to, obviously. I'm like, dude, we all know we all know you didn't hit the foods that you should have hit in your meal plan because of the way your abdominals look.
Do you actually, this is kind of a tangent. Mm-hmm. Do you prefer your athletes to do meal plan on contest prep or macros?
100% meal plan.
Meal plan?
100%. I'll have some athletes macros. There's actually I have none right now, but I would allow macros until around 12 to 15 weeks out. Mm-hmm. Once you get in that range, depending on the athlete, like, we're all meal plan. I have athletes who want to know the macros, and sometimes I'll give it to them depending on the athlete if you're in a prep phase.
Like individual.
There's some athletes that want to know, and I just will not do it because why do you need to know? I gave you the meal plan. It doesn't matter if...
Yeah.
It does not matter. All I need you to do is hit the meal plan. I don't care if your macros say that you're eating 2,300 calories and my macros say you're eating 2,350. I don't care the 50 calorie difference. Eat what I gave you on the plan.
The meal plan.
We'll figure it out after. Like, the macros do not matter.
Yeah. So I agree 100%. What I've been doing lately is I give my athletes like a meal plan matrix, and I calculate it all out for them, and I'm like, hit this meal plan, but you have like option A or B for meal one. Mm-hmm. And so that way they get a little bit more variety. But when we're in prep, it's strict meal plan. Like, just do the meal plan. And like you're saying, you don't need to know the macros. What are you calculating for? Do the meal plan.
And that's what I mean. Back to one of our first points of stress. If you get a meal plan and your first thing is, I'm going to calculate the macros, and so I can have some days where I maybe have almond milk instead of almond butter, or oats instead of cream of rice, and then have, I don't know, whatever you do. That's the first sign. You're adding stress to your prep. because you're
Right.
giving food the mental energy that cardio could have.
Because then you're spending time and energy calculating out, oh, well, I swapped this. So how do I make my other meal match these macros that was supposed to just be my meal plan? Like, just do the meal plan.
We literally gave you cheat sheet to win and succeed. That's the thing about protocols too. Athletes who are listening to this, we give you a protocol that if you hit it, we promise your life will change. I mean, hit it to a T. And you want to sit there and sit back and say, well, I'm human, so I make mistakes. And I get it. Like, we all will make mistakes throughout our journey. But if you cannot hit your meal plan or your macros or your protocols to a T for 1 week out of the 4, let alone 4 weeks out of the 3 months, like, you're your issue. It's true. And I say this from a point of love because obviously in a prep, like, we're going to get to this part in the next episode here about like prep versus off season. I'm in prep obviously with you right now. Our minds are very like to a T. Like, it's not rocket science to be able to eat exactly what you're told. And I do have a problem with some people saying, well, I'm human. And so like I messed up because I craved something else, so I ate something else. Like, I get it. It happens in an off-season phase, which we're going to get to, like, it's more loud.
Yeah.
But if you sign up for a coaching program and you want to build this physique in 60 days, it's not hard to hit something for 60 days when you know in 90 days, you're literally on vacation.
Yeah. Like, accept it. I feel like people have like a resistance to it. I really don't understand anymore, because even like the very first time that I prepped, I was 110% in. There was not a thing that went into my body that wasn't protocoled. Like, I told you earlier today, one of my very first preps, it was like a bro science meal plan, like super basic. At one point, I was eating 6 eggs a day. Dude, that's like disgusting.
Dude, honestly, I love eggs right now.
I love eggs too, but back then.
Yeah, back then I know it's disgusting.
I was buying a dozen eggs every 2 days. Like, the people at the grocery store were probably like, this girl has issues. But like, I didn't care at all. I was in my classes, because I was in college at the time, with 6 hard-boiled eggs or 6 scrambled up eggs. I did not care. It was on my plan and I did it.
And that mindset, I honestly think that's a holy grail mindset. And that's something that I didn't, like, I lost. And I don't know, I don't want to blame it on anything or anyone, or because it's all my choices, right? But from my first prep to this prep, I'm back in it. My nationals prep was very good. I will say that prep was 100%. There's some seasons of my life where I was just 80% in, 20%
And like, looking back and reflecting, you realize like, damn, I wasn't giving my 100% there. And that's like,
it's not even like, it's more so just like disappointing, because you know who you are. You know, you and I both know, like, we want to give 100%.
Yeah.
We don't care about anyone's feelings. We don't care about anyone's losses. We don't care about, we want to beat each other at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I care to see you win. You care to see me win.
Yes.
I care to see X person win. At the end of the day, I care to see myself win. And so I'm going to do what I can do to hit my stuff 100%. And the fact that I was allowing myself to give 80% and being like settling for that is just like, who were you?
Yeah.
Like, where did you go? And Justin asked me this the other day, and he messes around with me, but he says, he used to say this a lot, I'm waiting to see your demons come out again. And when he first started saying that, like, I got mad, emotionally mad, because I agreed with him. Like, I was waiting to see my own demons come out, because I know what that looks like. I know how mentally engaged I am in my own success. And so being able to feel a mental trigger by that statement means that they're like, he's right.
Yeah.
They're not out yet. So there's more that I can give.
That's so powerful to have someone in your corner who can like press your buttons. Because same thing.
I'm going to message him after that and thank him.
Yeah.
Because it took me some time to reflect, because, you know, someone that pushes your buttons, and it's usually, a lot of times it's your partner. Yeah. that's how you that's oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. That's how you know like the person's
They care.
they're there for you.
One, that person cares, and two, if you're able to recognize like, whoa, I was triggered by that, so there's probably some truth in there, or there's something in there that hits that like I need to explore. That can be so, it can just be like life-changing, honestly, if you're able to just be like, whoa, why did that person just trigger me? Is it because it's true? Is it because deep down inside I know that I'm not giving 100 there, that I could be doing more, and they've just like pointed it out to me?
And then yes,
Like,
and
what?
to add on to that, some athletes on here will be like, well, I'm hitting the plan 100%. But we know as competitors who've been it, who have really high goals, who like, this is a huge part of our life. The 100% isn't the protocols, it's the mindset and the care and the effort. And it's the fact, did you dream about cookies, or did you dream about going out with friends and partying, or did you dream about winning? Those are the minor details that allow us to know if we're building to our success or not, or building our empire or not. Because if your whole mindset and mental health isn't around the end goal that you have, which is yourself succeeding, whatever that looks like, there is some mental effort that's being left behind. Yeah.
I agree. Like, I can't add anything to that because it's like perfect. I was like,
Totally
yeah,
understand.
yeah, spot on. Like the mentality truly matters, and what you focus on, what you think about, it's going to either propel you forward or it's going to hold you back. And I think having that mindset, especially like as a newer athlete getting into it, just hold that vision and that excitement. Like if you come to us and you're a newer competitor, or you want to compete someday and we're like, oh, well, you have to grow, you know, don't take that as a negative thing. Take that as, okay, in 52 weeks, like in a solid year, I'm going to step on stage and I'm going to win, or I'm going to start prep and I'm going to prep to win. And like use that to fuel your fire and have that mental belief and like keep it going.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that kind of is leading into our other podcast.
We're about to film, so just be ready.
So we'll wrap this one up. The things that we used to believe, there's a lot in here. And there's a lot that we used to believe and now we definitely know otherwise. So hopefully you guys have learned some things. And if you have any questions, comments, if you want to reach out and chat with us more about anything, let us know. But we'll catch you on the next podcast.
I hope y'all really enjoyed the podcast today, leaving it feeling more relentless than ever. But we have a few things that we would love to ask of you, so I'm going to give this over to Noa.
Thank you guys so much for listening. If you could, I know that this is your new favorite podcast. Please leave a 5-star rating and review. Leave any comments and questions below. And make sure that you're sharing across social media so that all of your friends get to listen to the greatest podcast on earth.
And if you have any questions about any topics that we talk about, or anything at all, fitness, competing related, anything, we'll hit you back up, Instagram or in the podcast under, if the comment box is there, then we will definitely answer your questions and help you out as best as we can.
Absolutely. So leave those 5-star reviews. Let us know, and we'll talk to y'all again soon.
Have a relentless day.
Bye.